Right, so good afternoon, everybody. Is anybody able to hear me? You can just indicate in the chat. You can. So, welcome to this session, and we're going through Communication Studies Paper 1, and so we're going for 3 hours between 1 o'clock and 4 o'clock. We're going to try and go through as many as possible. It's really just 3 papers. So we're going to go through the most recent ones that we have and the answers. I'm going to share the screen and show you the paper, and we'll just read the answer, because for paper 1, we're just interested in the questions and the answers. It's not a teaching session. We're not going to go through any concepts or anything. We're just going to go through the questions. I'm going to solicit answers, see if everybody is on the same page. If anybody wants to ask a question and to say, why is this answer B or D or whatever, then you can go ahead. Don't want to spend too much time, because it's paper 1, and as you know, as bad as it sounds, for paper 1, it's really more memorization and rote than anything. It's just another way of saying swatting. So we're just going to go through as many individual questions as possible. So you know how the paper is set up. 45 questions. Every 15 questions is 1 module. So the first module is questions 1 to 15. Second module is questions 16 to 30. Third module is questions 31 to 45. Right? We're going to start with the 2019 paper, the ones that we have answers for. 2019 and 2018. We have 2020 and 2021 as well. Unfortunately, we don't have the answers. We can go through those papers, and you guys can take down the questions and answers if anything. The whole point is to actually just remember what the questions are like, because they rarely change. They're just going to be similar. Like, it's going to change 1 or 2, but the type of question is always the same. More than 80% of the things will eventually come back. Right? So without further ado, I'm going to share my screen and we will begin. We're going to go through 2019, and then at the end of it, we take a 5 minutes break and we start the next paper at 2. So is everybody is okay with that? Just let me know and then I can start. Great. So this is 2019 paper, and and we have the actual questions. Everybody is seeing the screen. Assuming everybody is seeing the screen. Right. So the first section, section A, for the first 7 questions, you know that you're given an extract, and the teacher is supposed to read it, and then you answer items 1 to 7. Right, so I have the examiner script that you are seeing. So just so that you can see what it is, how it looks. Let's see, there's an extract. Now you're going to look at your questions, but I'm going to read the extract and then show you the questions I have. Right? So we're supposed to read it carefully, and then now you can make notes while the reading is being read. You're not supposed to start answering until you're told to do so, and then you respond to the answers, respond to the questions, items on the answer sheet. So I'm going to pretend that I'm the examiner, and then now I am going to read this twice, but you can see it, but I'm still going to read it. So we're supposed to read it twice at normal pace. Right? It's not a dictation. It's not for you to write. You can make notes. So this is taken from the novel Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte, chapter 2. Yesterday afternoon, set in misty and cold, I had half a mind to spend it by my study fire, instead of wading through heath and mud to wuthering heights. On coming up from dinner, however, NB, I dined between 12 and 1 o'clock. The housekeeper, matronly lady taken as a fixture along with the host, could not or would not comprehend my request that I be served at 5. On mounting the stairs with this lazy intention and stepping into the room, I saw a servant girl on her knees surrounded by brushes and coal scuttles, and raising an infernal dust as she extinguished the flames with heaps of cinders. This spectacle drove me back immediately. I took my hat and after a 4 miles walk, arrived at Heathcliff's garden gate just in time to escape the first feathery flakes of a snow shower. So I read that once, and then now you're going to hear, I shall now read the extract for a second time. Okay? Bear in mind, you have 1.5 hours to answer all the questions. That's pretty much it. So I'm going to read this a second time, and then we'll go into the question. Yesterday afternoon, set in misty and cold, I had half a mind to spend it by my study fire, and instead of wading through heath and mud to withering heights, on coming up from dinner, however, NB, I dined between 12 and 1 o'clock. The housekeeper, a matronly lady, taken as a fixture along with the host, could not or would not comprehend my request that I be served at 5. On mounting the stairs with this lazy intention and stepping into the room, I saw a servant girl on her knees surrounded by brushes and coal scuttles, and raising an infernal dust as she extinguished the flames with heaps of cinders. This spectacle drove me back immediately. I took my hat and after a 4 miles walk, arrived at Heathcliff's garden gate just in time to escape the first feathery flakes of a snow shower. So remember, in real life, you won't be able to see these words. You have to actually just listen to it. So you could take down anything you wanted from this, but we're not going to refer to it because we really shouldn't show you what it is. We're going to go through the questions. So, first question, which of the following best describes the speaker's dominant emotional state throughout the episode described in the extract? Is it relief, disgust, indifference, or conflictedness? So feel free to type in the chat what you think the answer is. We're not going to take so long. We have a lot of questions to go. So I want us to guess. I want us to, spend too much time on. Everybody who said D is correct. So the answer is conflictedness. Okay? See a lot of persons saying A, B, C, D. The answer is D, conflictedness. Okay? So number 2, so the use of the expression wading through heath and mud suggests that the speaker relishes the idea, is excited about the idea, looks forward to the idea, or is ambivalent about it. I'm not going to wait for everybody to answer. I just want us to understand what the answers that we're going through. That A, B, C, or D. Yes, the answer is D, is ambivalent about the idea. So feel free to take screenshots if you want, guys, and then you just match the answers, or we send this to you afterwards. But we're trying to go through this.
Sir, aren't you like marking it on the screen, like with a different color?
Or repeat what you said.
Like the answers aren't you marking it?
Well, I'm hoping that you guys will take down the answers. I don't think we are allowed to mark on the paper. We have a separate paper with the answer.
Okay.
And as best as possible to keep up with the answers. I can mark on it, but I don't think I'm allowed. We'll send the answers along with the questions. The aim here is not really so much to get an understanding of each individual question. It's really just speed. That's what we're working with, because we have We want to go to as many questions as possible. So for number 3, which of the following effects results from the speaker's inclusion of the expression NB, I dine between 12 and 1 o'clock? They're qualifying what is being said, suggesting deliberation in thought, suggesting he's a good communicator. And it's one of those questions where it can be 1 and 2, 1 and 3, 2 and 3, or 1 to 1. So the answer here is A, 1 and 2 only. They're qualifying what is being said and they're suggesting deliberation in thought. There was a pause and they said, basically, take note, or by the way, I dine between 12 and 1. So they're basically clarifying it and having deliberation in thought. So 3 is not a part of it. Answer is A. So for 4, the expression taken as a fixture along with the host suggests that the housekeeper belonged in the house, had a fixed place and position, could be relied upon to keep things in order, or had been retained when he became the. So 4, the answer is D. Taken as a fixture along with the house. Basically, they come with the furniture, they come with everything. So it means that they found the person there, whoever is living in the house. 5, which of the following best captures the associations which the speaker?
Number 4 is D.
Yeah, number 4 is D, dog.
Okay, Tom.
Number 5, which of the following best captures the associations which the speaker wished to convey by his use of the term raising an infernal dust? Is it stifling heat and light, offensive noise and heat, confounding noise and light, or irritating heat, noise, and light? The answer there is D. 5 is D, dog, irritating heat, noise, and light. I'm not going too fast, but at the same time, we can't go too soon. So we're not going to get much. Number 6, the speaker's use of the word spectacle suggests that A, the servant girl was visually attractive, the servant girl's behavior was dramatic, the entire episode of cleaning the fireplace was overdone, or the entire episode of cleaning the fireplace was unnecessary. The answer is C. The entire episode of cleaning the fireplace was overdone. They're creating a spectacle, they're creating a scene. It's just unnecessary, right? And for number 7, which of the following literary devices is not used in the extract? Is it simile, contrast, sarcasm, or metaphor? The answer for that one is C, sarcasm. Right? So bear in mind, the first 7 questions are always, you have to listen very, very carefully. I don't want to go back in the text to show you because the exam is not going to be like that. It's something where you have to listen to. It's read to you twice. You make your notes, you listen, and you write down main points that you need. Right? And then the other 8 questions in this module is still related to module 1. So let's go back through the 7 just so we're clear. 6, somebody asked what was 6? 6 is C. So number 1 is D, dog. Number 1 is dog. Number 2 is also D, dog. Number 3 is A, apple. Number 4 is dog, D. Number 5 is dog, D. Number 6 is C, cat. And number 7 is C, cat. Okay. Right, so let's move on very quickly. I want to do as many as possible. Right. So now this one, you're actually given something to read, something very small. I remember what module 1 is. Module 1 is what? It is gathering and processing information. So you were listening to the first one and you're reading the second one. So we have this extract for items 8 to 11. So it says the media is filled with reports of teenagers being distracted by digital technology and that such preoccupation is affecting their schoolwork. Haldane, a sociology student, decides to investigate this phenomenon at his school, which is located in a rural district. He intends to use interviews to collect data. And for number 8, the question asks, which of the following activities would Haldane need to undertake as part of his research? Talking to parents and teachers, finding out how many students own digital devices, choosing a sample that is representative of the school's population. So is it 1 and 2, 1 and 3, 2 and 3, or 1, 2, and 3? Number 8.
C.
This will be shared. This will be shared in the group, guys. 8 is actually dog, D. So he's going to do all of them. Talk to parents and teachers, find out how many students own devices, and choose a sample that is representative of the school's population. It's all of them. So number 9, which of the following could be an advantage if Haldane conducted interviews? Is it A, cost effectiveness of the procedure, B, wide geographic coverage of informants, C, high reliability of the information to be collected, or D, the in-depth nature of the information to be collected?
So it would be D.
Said B?
D, as in
D?
dog.
Okay, and yeah, the answer is D. For 9, the answer is D. 10, Haldane found an article entitled Modern Technology Causing Canadian Students to Fail. This article could be useful to his research as it is what? It's reliable and accurate, can yield sufficient data, provide secondary data, or can provide primary data. Number 10.
C.
C is the answer. Number 10. 11. Why would it be unacceptable for Haldane to apply the findings of his research to all teenagers? A, he used only data collection methods. B, he used only interviews to collect the data. C, the respondents might not tell the truth. Or D, the population is only students. Yeah, D. So everybody understands this, right? So we can move on. But let's just go through one last time. 8 is dog, 9 is dog, 10 is cat, 11 is dog. So it's D, B, C, D. Right? Everybody is getting it. So 12 to 15, still in module 1. And it's the same thing as the questions from 8 to 11, where we're reading a small extract and then we're answering these 4 questions. So Miss Tricia Davis is the head of the English department at Malcolm High School. She realizes that over the 5-year period, fewer students choose literatures in English as an optional subject in 6th form. She would like to research the reason for this and to put in place a program to reverse this situation. So on number 12, which of the following research designs would be the most suitable for Miss Davis to use? Number 12. Is it descriptive, exploratory, correlational, or experimental?
Say C, correlational.
No, it's not correlational. 12, the answer is B, exploratory. Right? She's trying to explore. She's trying to find out something that has not been previously studied. Right? So exploratory. 9 and 10. So somebody in the chat. 9 is dog and 10 is cat. Number 11. Number 13, sorry. Which of the following factors would invalidate the generalization which Miss Davis makes from the findings? Is it that the sample is too large? The sample is not representative of the population? The research is carried out only in Miss Davis's school? Or the research is conducted during end of year examination? 13.
So say C.
It's not C. So answer for 13 is B. The sample is not representative of the population. Right? So, and why is that? Because she is trying to research the reason to, why fewer students choose literatures in English, right? But she cannot generalize the findings simply because she's only studying those a very small select group of students. Say whatever findings is too specific to both the school and the subject, right? So it can't be used as an index of accuracy anywhere else. So for 13, the answer is B. 14, which of the following data collection methods is the most suitable for Ms. Davis to use in her research? Is it interview, document search, observation, schedule, or participant observation? 14. Answer is A, interview. We're saying A, the answer is A. 15, which of the following must Ms. Davis consider in selecting her sample? Composition of the school's population, size of the school's population, accuracy of the school's data. Is it 1 and 2, 1 and 3, 2 and 3, or 1, 2, and 3? And 15, the answer is D, it's all of them. Right? So she has to bear in mind composition of the school's population, size of the school's population, accuracy of the school's data. Right? 14 was A. Now let me go through these last four and we'll move on to the next module. So 12 is boy, B. 13 is also boy, B. 14 is A, and 15 is dog. Right? So before we go on to the next module, I realize we have more people here. Just really asking for everybody to be focused during the 3 hours because you just take down the questions and answers. These papers will be sent to you so you can look at them later. But the idea is to go through as many as possible, right? Based on what we have. So I'm just asking for everybody to remain focused. It's not a teaching session. We don't want to have to do too much repeating. So moving on to module 2. Now module 2, the first 15 questions are module 1. Now the next 15 is module 2. So let's read the extract carefully. Miss Clemmy keep on looking at Ascot as if he is stranger, and Dagoman sit on the bench outside as if he too afraid to come near. The children start playing around the car and make as if to open the door. Ascot snap at them so bad that my mother had to say, "Hi, Ascot, is your own little brothers you're treating so?" "Half brother," Ascot said. From then on, things just get from bad to worse. Ascot looked like he real vexed with Miss Clemmy, and the wife and stepfather looked like they real vexed with Ascot. So finally, Ascot said, "Come, let me take you all home, for I have to get back to Kingston tonight." By this time, Dagoman face set and he preferred to walk, and Miss Clemmy and the children get into the car alone. And even though Miss Clemmy looked like she's going to cry, you can still see she feeling proud to have her son driving in her car. But as they drive off, all we can hear is Ascot shouting at the children to take their dirty feet off the cars. Right, so I'm just going to read that once in the interest of time, because you can all see it, and in the exam you will all be able to see it. Remember, module 2 is the module that deals with patois and language and community and speaking, and speaking patois, reading patois, understanding patois, Creole, standard English, and so on. So number 16, when Ascot says, "Come, let me take you all home," in line 78, you can all see, he aims to do what? Make Dagoman angry, get back to Kingston that night, ease the tension among the family, or take his mother and her other children for a drive. 16. No, seeing the answer yet. 16. So more. 16 is B, right? Get back to Kingston that night. Line 7, he said, "Come, let me take you all home, for I have to get back to Kingston." Yeah, he has to get back to Kingston. So he's just saying, come with me, basically. There's nothing else to that. Number 17, the writer's use of English Creole throughout the extract.
So for number 16, when I was doing it, my teacher said that it was like to ease the tension among the family, so I'm not sure.
Well, we can put an asterisk on it.
Okay, so.
And if we have time, we'll come back. So 17, the writer's use of English Creole throughout the extract suggests that English Creole is what? A broken language, an authentic language only used by illiterate people, should not be used for literary purposes. 17 is the answer is somebody asked, who is Dagoman? Dagoman, I am assuming, is that he's related to Nagoman. Is his half brother. So number 17. Number 17, the answer is B. Writers use of English Creole throughout the extract suggests that English Creole is one. Broken, authentic, only used by illiterate people, should not be used for literary purposes. And the answer there is boy, because he finds it acceptable to write in Creole in something that is basically official. So it's supposed to be seen as an authentic language. 17 is boy. 18, which of the following does not convey a communicative behavior? So we all know what communicative behavior, proxemics, and kinetics, and all of those things. So is it Ascot snap at them, Daggerman sit on the bench outside, from then on things get from bad to worse, or the wife and stepfather look like they're real vexed with Ascot? 18, the answer is C. Yes, 18 is C. 19, what communicative behavior does Daggerman exhibit in lines 8 to 9? Lines 8 to 9, he says, by this time, Daggerman face set and he preferred to walk, and Miss Clemmy and the children get into the car alone. So 19 is fear, shame, confused, or hostility. Right? So the man said he preferred to walk and him face set and not going in the car. So 19 is dog, B, hostility. Okay? Yeah, like him vexed, basically. You don't want to, what doesn't want to cooperate. So 19, the answer is dog. 16 is boy. So we'll go back through these four again. 16 is boy, 17 is boy, 18 is cat, 19 is dog. So 16B, 17B, 18C, and 19D. Right, so moving on. So items 20 to 23, similar like it is. You're gonna get like 3 of these. And I don't know how multiple choices. So Tulwa asked Gobin if he thought Charan would leave anything for Harry. Harry disappointed he bad, said Tulwa. "Me can't tell you, Tulwa," said Gobin, shaking his head patiently. "Only he lawyer can tell you what he left and what he ain't left." Tulwa glanced around again and then asked why he didn't take Rambury for his lawyer. "Ain't Rambury his son-in-law?" "Me can't tell you, Tulwa," said Gobin, fidgeting and frowning no. So 20, which example of Creole structure is evident in the statement, Harry disappointed he bad? Is it front focusing, serial verb construction, use of double negative, or subject pronoun in object position? 20. Let's see. 20, Harry disappointed bad, as opposed to Harry disappointed him bad. Subject pronoun in object position, D. 20 is D. 20 is D. There's no double negative in it, so it's not C. 21, why would Creole be the most appropriate choice of language in this scenario? It is representative of the characters, the context is informal, the topic is informal. So is it 1 and 2, 1 and 3, 2 and 3, or 1, 2, and 3? 21. Now, why is Creole? Representative of the characters, context informal, topic informal. So it's all of them. It's D. 21 is dog. 21 is D. Topic is informal, the context is informal, and it's representative of the character. It appears that somebody died, and they're discussing the will and dividing up the assets and everything. It seems among family members among family. So it's informal, topic is informal. They're not talking to the lawyer. 22, Tulwa's use of non-verbal communication in the extract indicates that she is what? Inquisitive, conscious, indifferent, or considerate. 22. Tulwa's use of non-verbal communication. Tulwa, when she says that she glanced around again and asked. And so she's looking around. Why is she looking around? 22. Answer is A. inquisitive. Right? She's looking around. She's probing, she's asking questions, and then she asks questions after that. So it shows that she's inquisitive. At 23, which of the following features of Caribbean Creole English is evident in the extract? A, calques, vowel insertion, double negatives, or D, zero copular use. 23. I've seen the answer yet. 23. Answer is A. 23 is A. All right? Calques. So just, I know it's not a teaching session, but just a very brief reminder of what that is. It's like a calc is something that is basically borrowed from another language. At this stage, you guys should know these little things, but that's what they're gonna ask in multiple choice. It's like word for word translation based, literal meaning, and we see that in the extract. So 23 is A. So, like I said, in case they repeat it, we're just going through multiple choice. The whole answer, we're almost swapping it. So 20 is 20 is dog, 21 is also dog, 22 is A, and 23 is A. So it's DDAA. DDAA. Right, so let's continue. Items 24 to 26. Same thing, same kind of question. So Rufus had in him a passion, a kind of vexation, that when he stand up before a crowd, he would get all tangled up with his words and his feelings. But Rufus don't have the education. They tell this story how one night at a meeting, Rufus was talking about the cost of living. People can't eat book in this country, Rufus said. People can't eat words. What the people need is bread. B-R-E-D, bread. Rufus, you leave out the A. Somebody from the crowd called out to him. And Rufus correct himself. B-R-E-D-A. They tell of another time. The reporter tell Rufus that Mr. Richardson suggests that they should put more boys out in the sea to mark the area. Boys, Rufus said, big men does drown out there in the sea and he want to put boys. No, we couldn't vote for Rufus. Who we want in the council is a man that qualified, a man with education just like the people in Britain. Ivan could really talk. Rufus was all right, but after you listened to Ivan Martin, you had to put Rufus aside. We're going to read that once, and then we'll go through the question. Just 3 questions. 24, which of the following rules is language serving in this extract when it is used to judge Rufus's level of education? Is it social, ethical, political, or psychological? 24. That's the answer. And so it's actually C. 24 is C, political. I mean, he's on a political platform, right? He's trying to convince people to vote for him. So it's serving a political purpose. So answer is C. 25, narrator relates to stories about Rufus mainly to what? Show hatred for Rufus, show that Rufus is uneducated, show that the people dislike Rufus, or validate the view that Rufus is competent. 25. 25, and I think most of us can see what that is already. It's B, to show that Rufus is uneducated. Someone is asking what's 21? 21 is dog, B. 25 that we just went through, 25 is B, boy. Show that Rufus is uneducated. 26, which of the following attitudes may be inferred about the narrator based on his account of Rufus's behaviors? 26. Is it A, he values education, B, he likes British people, C, he was unsympathetic towards Rufus, or D, he does not like people with passion? 26, which of the following attitudes may be inferred about the narrator? The narrator talk about, no, we need a man with education, just like people in Britain. So for 26, the answer is A, he values education. Halfway there. More than that. All right, so last 4 questions in this module. No extract or anything. These are just things that you simply need to know about Creole language. Like I said, just bear in mind answers. Take pictures of this because you can see the screen and just write down the answers. That's how we do multiple choice, right? So 27, an English Creole in the Caribbean may be defined as a language with A, limited linguistic functions, B, used by the poorest people in society, C, only understood by some persons in the society, or D, developed from contact between Europeans and Africans. 27, what's 27? 27 is actually, English Creole in the Caribbean may be defined as 27, developed from contact between Europeans and Africans. So it's a synthesized language. 24 is C and 25 is B. Yeah, that's correct. 27 is D. 28, which of the following terms refers to the range of language choices available?
What is 27?
27, what did I say? English Creole in the Caribbean may be defined as a language developed from contact between Europeans and Africans. 27 is B. Right? 28, to the following terms refers to the range of language choices available to a speaker for use in different situations. Is it dialect, Creole, register, or orthography? Most of us should know that one. 28 is C, right? Register. Register is the range of choices available to you. So 28 is C. 29, which of the following expressions is the process of reduplication evident? I water, stepsister, wagwan, or chaka chaka house. Everybody should know that one. 29 is D, as in dog. Right? 30, which of the following is an example of the use of language performing a social function? Praying silently, introducing oneself, reading a comic strip, or making a journal entry. Social function of language.
B.
Yeah, the answer is B, right? Introducing oneself. And so we're finished with module. I'm going to go on to module 3. Okay. So speaking and writing, that's this module. So remember that you're given some extracts here as well. And it's the same procedure almost as is with module. Let me just go back through what those were one last time. 27 is D, 28 is C, 29 is D as in dog, and 30 is B as in boy. Right? So D, C, D, B. Right? 28 is C. So moving on to module 3. Your friend Kristen is running for head girl and you have agreed to be her campaign manager. Kristen has to give a speech to the upper school students at the General Assembly. Now, 31 asks, to which of the following two elements of the communication process should Kristen pay the most attention if her speech is to be effective? Is it noise and receiver, noise and feedback, message and receiver, or conceptualization and message? 31. Yeah, 31 is C. I'm seeing as well. So the answers will be sent. Yeah, the answers will be sent. But we can't go back through what we went through already, so we're just try to keep up with what's going on. Like I said, take the screenshots of everything and just write down the answers. But the answers and this, everything will be sent just so you can have it. So 31 is C, message and receiver, right? Kristen should pay most attention to the message and to the receiver if the speech is to be effective. 32, so you anticipate that some of the students might easily forget Kristen's manifesto. Which of the following actions would make the manifesto more memorable? 32, charts and graphs, slogans and jingles, being direct as possible, being as thorough as possible. 32 should be clear. One is B, slogans and jingles, and she's on a campaign trail. 33, which are the following non-verbal communication methods will be most effective in helping Kristen to enhance her presentation to the audience? Is it dress, gestures, proxemics, or chronemics? 33. 33. Long as I say the correct answer. B, yeah, it is B. 34. Which of the following audience reactions would indicate that upper school students are likely to vote for Kristen? Is it looking at her while she speaks, loud rumbling when she pauses, discussing her main points with friends, or applauding when she makes a point? 34. Yeah, that one should be straightforward. 34, the answer is B. Right? Yeah, everybody got that. 35, if Kristen is to avoid sending mixed or unintentional messages to her audience, to which aspect of the communication process should she pay special attention? The noise, medium, encoding, or conceptualization? 35. She wants to avoid sending mixed signals. So what does that relate to? Yeah, how she is putting together the message. So how she encodes. So 35, the answer is C. So let's go back through these again. 31, C, cat. 32 is B as in boy. 33 is B as in boy. 34 is D as in dog. And 35 is C as in cat. Right, so moving on quickly. So I don't think you guys will be able to see this, are you? Well, you can see that it is a shell, and it's Antigua and Barbuda. The beach is just the beginning. Shell on the just answer me. Can you guys see? I wouldn't want to skip over these questions because in the exam you might get an image, right? And you might get an image, and we don't want to skip over this. Right, so yeah, 36. What type of advertising is featured in the picture? Service, classified, corporate, or government? So you might not be able to see it, or the evidence is not there, but I will accept service. A lot of persons are saying A, but the answer that I have is D, government, because, and why it's government is because the government of the country is advertising the country as a tourist destination, right? Only if you're advertising the whole country, it's usually the government. So like Jamaica does it, it's Jamaica Tourist Board usually would do it, which is a government agency. Right? But I would accept service. So you can just say A or D for 36. 37, which of the following appeals is most dominant in the advertisement for 37? Status and humor, youth and pleasure, pleasure and status, or patriotism and status. There might not be much evidence of that, but it is the answer for that one for 37 is C. Yeah, pleasure and status. I mean, it's a tourist advertisement, so pleasure must be there. 30, and there's nothing to say that it is specifically geared towards youth. So 38, purpose of the shell on the beach in the advertisement is to what? Share the diverse fauna of the islands, suggest the islands as a tropical escape, serve as a universal symbol of tourism, or ensure that the composition is balanced. 38, that's 38. Right, yeah, 38 is B, suggest the islands as a tropical escape. You only find shells on a beach. You know, it can be C, serve as universal symbol of tourism. You can go to places for tourism without the beach. It's B. You're on an island, shell beach. 39. One possible reason for including the tagline, "The beach is only the beginning," is to do what? Indicate that the destination is unique, celebrate geographical diversity inclusive of coastal areas, indicate national pride in the country inclusive of beaches, or suggest the island's varied attractions beyond the beaches. 39. Most persons have it. D, suggest the island's varied attractions beyond beaches. Beach is just the beginning. It's literally that. There are more things that you can do in the island. Right, so moving on, 40 to 42. Oh, let me just go back through those four again. So 36, Answer really is B, but I would accept A. 37, and I'm sure that the examiners would as well, especially if it's not clear. 37, C, 38, B as in boy, and 39 is D as in dog. 40 to 42. Sixth form class was practicing to write expository essays. The students were exposed to various features of exposition and guidelines for producing this type of essay in an academic context. So 40, a student's expository essay should typically aim to what? Detect the emotions, recount experiences, enlighten and instruct the reader, or present the writer's personal viewpoint. 40, expository, you're exposing something. Most persons are saying C, the answer is C, enlighten and instruct the reader. 41, which of the following would be the main organizational strategy used in an expository essay on the topic types of luxury vehicles? Is it description, classification, chronological order, or comparison and contrast? 41, types of luxury vehicles. Yeah, everybody's saying B, answer is B, classification, types, what are they classified into? 42, which of the following organizational features of language is typically not used in exposition? Not. Motive language, facts and statistics, information from experts, details supporting main points. 42. Not. But I got that. A. Yeah. Right, so 40 is C, 41 is B, and 42 is A. Right. 43 to 45, last three questions. You're asked to speak to a group of 20 kindergarten children on the topic of environmental cleanliness. Which of the following will be the most appropriate way to share the information with your audience? Like I said, this module we've run through it very quickly. It's very easy. 43, panel discussion, animation and speech, televised documentary, PowerPoint presentation. Everybody can say the answer is B. B, animation and speech. 44, which of the following is the sequence that the presenter should follow to successfully complete the communication process? This is just what you remember from the communication process. What is the correct order? Yeah, I'm not gonna read all that. And just tell me the answer for 44. And you can see what you start with. You start with conceiving the message, then you encode it, then you select the channel, then you disseminate it. Right? So the answer for 44 is C. And so you can't encode the message first. You don't come up with it. You have to conceive the message. So the answer could either be only C or D. And then it is when you read C, conceive, then encode, then select the channel, then disseminate it. 44 is C. 45, what two organizational features would best help your audience to easily follow your speech? Editing and concluding, formatting and editing, researching and outlining, proofreading, and the paragraphing. Organizational features. So we look at how the thing is organized on the paper, right? If somebody is reading it. You are reading the speech to somebody. What would help you to read it in such a way that everybody can follow it? 45. And so yeah, so formatting and editing. So look at the spaces, look at the size of the font, look, is it bold or italic, what do you emphasize? Things like that. That is formatting and editing. So 45 is B. So 43 is B, boy. 44 is C, cat. And 45 is B, boy. All right? So finish with the first paper. We take a 5-minute break. We can start back at 2 o'clock or 5 minutes to 2. And so I'm going to put it in the chat, but just a small announcement. If you have friends that you can get through to, I strongly advise that they come for the next 2 hours from 2 to 4. We're going to try to go through the 2020 and the 2021 papers since we have them already. And having practiced this paper to understand what it is to expect, we will try to determine the answers for ourselves. Even though I don't have an official answer sheet for them, but it helps to do the most recent papers because they're going to take questions from the most recent papers. You're allowed to screenshot it. So tell everyone that we're on a 5-minute break. We're going to start back at 2 o'clock with the 2020 and 2021 papers. Everybody heard that? You can just indicate in the chat. Yeah, so we're going to start back at 2 o'clock. So tell as many persons as possible to just rejoin us at 2 o'clock. Or don't go too far from the computer or the laptop. All right, so let's talk to get going on the next paper. Most persons still with us can just indicate in the chat. So most persons are still with us. So like I said, for this hour, um, we're going to do a 2020 paper and then we're going to wrap up the 2021 paper. I don't have the answers, but I'm still going to make it interactive and persons can chip in as usual to say what they think the answer is. I'm going to read it, of course, myself and tell you what I think the answer would be based on my knowledge of the subject. So let's just get right into it. Share my screen. So you should see this one 2020. This one is 2020. But unfortunately, I don't have the examiner script, which would allow me to do the first 7 questions, like I said, because we're supposed to read an extract and then you answer. I don't have the examiner script for either 20 or 2021. So we're going to have to exclude those for these papers. If we want more practice with it, when we're done with these, I will just read only the section A, the first 7 questions for some other papers that I have, like 17 and 18. So we're going to have to skip the first 7 questions. We don't have the prompt for it. Right? And we'll just start with number 8, still in module 1. Is everybody still here? Everybody hearing me? Everybody clear? Everybody understanding? Just indicate in the chat and then we can continue. All right. Just to reiterate, this year is 2020. As I said, you're allowed to, we're going to send the paper to you. You're allowed to take the screenshots and we just go through the answers same way. So these 3 questions, this scenario, read this scenario carefully and answer items 8 to 10. Right, so a news report indicates that citizens have been buying used cars rather than new ones. So your sixth form class has decided to conduct research to find out which cars people prefer and why. Right? And number 8 asks, which of the following will be the main advantage to the researcher if pre-coded questions were used as a method of data collection? Is it cost savings, obtaining confidential data, easy analysis of the findings, or ability to probe further details? 8. What do you think is the answer? I already have what I think the answer is. More answers? Yeah, so the answer is C, easy analysis of findings, right? You just have preset questions rather than open-ended questions. It allows you to collate the data more efficient. So the answer is, so 9, which of the following does not reflect how an interview might be administered for this research? Is it sending an email to a manager, taking note of certified vehicles, talking with a contact over the phone, or discussing preferences with consumers? Anybody? Does not. But you're trying to collect information. Right? Yeah. B, taking note of certified vehicles. Yeah, that's what I would have said as well. 10, which of the following could be a disadvantage to the researcher if interviews are used as the method of data collection? We're using interviews, what's the disadvantage? Lower rate of data return, difficulty making inferences, subjectivity of the researcher, or limited scope to explore variables. Disadvantage. So we can't, nobody is really able to agree with that for interviews. But I would say that the answer is B for this one. Difficulty making inferences. Low rate of data return doesn't typically affect interviews. It will be more like surveys and questionnaires and things like that. Limited scope can't be really limited in the sense that interviews provide you with so much information that you have so much more than you know what to do with it. And subjectivity of the researcher, um, that could be close, but I don't think it's the best answer. So remember that wherever you're unsure, we would choose the best answer in this scenario. And for me, I think that would be B. 10 would be B. Right? So broadly, we agreed here that 8 was C, 9 is B, and 10 would be B. Right? So 11 to 15, based on what you can see. Yeah, see, like I said, the questions, they won't always repeat the same exact questions, but they give you similar scenarios. So if for the persons who were here when we did 2019, remember we did something where the person was trying to investigate why communication, why our literatures in English had such a low take-up rate at this particular high school. They have done the exact same thing here. They've said at this high school, most recent census document showed some senior students irregularly attending classes, and we want to find out the reasons why. So it is the same kind of scenario, the same types of questions. So at a recent meeting with the principal of Mansfield High School, the Ministry of Education revealed that a check of the most recent census documents showed that some senior students of the school have been irregularly attending classes. The ministry decides to hire a research company to investigate the likely reasons for students' irregular attendance. Which of the following sources could provide the most useful information to help researchers identify the sample? Is it form teachers, class registers, class monitors, or student reports? Yeah, class register. Everybody on the same page. 12, which of the following must the research company consider when selecting a sample? Is it the accuracy of the census documents, the average number of respondents, how well the population is represented, or how knowledgeable the respondents are? 12. Yeah, C, how well the population is represented. I see persons dropping out of the call, and we're doing the most recent. Hope they can join us. 14, oh, sorry, that should be 13 for this one. If the research company used observation as a method of collecting data, which of the following could be an advantage? They use observation. Is it predicting the number behavior to be observed, directly witnessing the behavior of participants, spending an extended period of time collecting data, or participants changing their behavior when being observed? Advantage of observation. B. All right, most persons saying B, I say B as well. So B. 14, if the research company only collected data in the morning, which of the following could adversely affect the validity of the results? Is it adequacy of the data, reliability of the data, or representativeness of the sample? 1, only 2, only 1 and 3, or 1, 2, or 14? Some person said D, some person said C. So the answer is D, it's all of them, right? Because it's adequacy. If persons come late, then the morning thing is going to miss them. And then if it affects one, it has to affect the other two because it's not reliable and it's not going to be representative. Right?
Sir, excuse me. What was number 12?
12, 12 was C. Right? So 14 that we're on now, 14 is D, dog. Right? 15, which of the following is the most likely population for this study? Students of Mansfield High who attend classes irregularly, senior students of Mansfield High School who attend classes irregularly, students of secondary schools in the country who attend classes irregularly, or senior students of secondary schools in the country who attend classes irregularly. Remember, the population is the thing that the sample is drawn from, right? So your sample is some senior students of the school have been irregularly attending class. Okay? So that is some of them. So what would be the population? wider population that you're taking that sample. Answer is B. Senior students of Mansfield High School who attend classes irregularly. That's the population, and you are just taking a sample, a very small segment of that population. And so let's go back over this. 11 is B, class registers. 12 is C. 13 is B. 14 is D, dog. And 15 is B, boy. Okay. Most of them will have the Roman numerals. Just make sure you read it first. Most of them, whether by coincidence or by design, they always put it as 1, 2, and 3, but don't take it for granted. Just read the question first, and then you can do it. 12, to repeat 12 is C, how well the population is represented. If you're trying to find a sample, then you want it to be representative of the population. So 12 is C. All right, moving on, 16 to 18. Remember, from 16 onwards is module 2. So we're doing dialogue and Creole and English and all of that. So Paul says, good morning, everyone. How are you today? Samantha says, I'm good, Paul, although my foot bottom a hotty. Brian says, I don't feel good because Paul ever tried chat quite speak spooky the way I'm gonna like it. Paul says, Brian, I do not understand. We're all educated, so we should be speaking Caribbean standard English and not some broken language. Samantha says, yes, I'm educated, but when I chat to a friend, then I have to use Caribbean standard English. After all, I not do interview. Brian says, true, Samantha, plus I not speak no broken language. I am speaking Caribbean Creole. Right? Everybody can see it. We'll have to read it again. 16 says, when Brian accuses Paul of speaking hoity-toity in line 3, Brian is suggesting that Paul is using language to do what? To assert authority, to show sophistication, to make social commentary, or to discriminate against.
B?
Yeah, I would say B is the answer. He's trying to be sophisticated, hoity-toity. And everybody seems to agree. 17, which of the following factors would affect the dialectal varieties used by the various speakers? So remember the dialectal varieties, acrolect, mesolect, baselect, and who sounds closest to it and who sounds furthest from it. 17, which of the following factors would affect it? Social class, job opportunity, religious affiliation, or intellectual capacity. So it might be more than one, but which one is the best answer? Would affect the dialectal variety. Right. I know some persons would have said D, but the best answer for this one is A, social class. Right? That's the best answer. Right? Because it's a social, non-linguistic feature of that communication. So all the social things, like where you come from and your different level of exposure and so on. So for 17, we're gonna go with A. 18, which of the speakers advocate using language as a form of identification? So basically, who are the ones who advocate for Patois as a language? Brian and Samantha, right? So 18 should be C, right? As a form of identification. Well, let's go over that again. 18, which of the speakers advocate using language as a form of identification? Brian clearly is part of that because he's saying not speaking a broken language, he's speaking Caribbean Creole. Paul says, okay, we're all educated, so we should be speaking Caribbean standard English, not some broken language. Okay, so I can suit that. So it's really Paul and Brian. So the answer there for 18 would be A. 18 would be A. Samantha is not really advocating as a form of identification, but for something else, right? It's definitely Paul and Brian. So 18 is A. So 16 is B, 17 is A, and 18 is A. Right? Continue. 19 and 20. If a speaker changes his language use between Caribbean Standard English and Creole English during a conversation, he will be engaging in what? Code mixing, code switching, semantic substitution, semantic differentiation. Everybody's supposed to get this one. 19, the answer is B. 20, which of the following Creole features is evident in the structure tangled up with his words and feelings? Repetition, serial verbs, reduplication, or unmarked tense. Everybody saying B or D. Unmarked tense. Tangle up with these words and feelings. So it's definitely not A and it's not C. Serial verbs, unmarked tense. Any more answers? Persons are saying D. I'm gonna encourage us to put an asterisk on this. But let me read it again. Tangle up with these words and feelings. Yeah, yeah, that's definitely B. It's not. I think that's B. And yeah, D is the answer for 20. Somebody is asking what 17 and 18. 17 and 18 are both A, if I remember correct. 17 is A and 18 is A. 19 is B and 20 is D, as in dog, unmarked tense. But we don't know. Tangle up with these words and feelings. We can't tell the tense out of it. So it's present, past, or whatever. So 20 is D. Moving on to this extract. Something between mother and Robbie. So mother says, Robbie, since you come back home from college, all you're doing is sitting in front of that stupid computer talking to them foreign friends of yours in that highfalutin language that only you and them understand. Listen, you're home now and you have to behave as if you're home. So you're coming back to the market with me in the morning. Robbie says, Mother, I'm proud of how I speak, but do I really have to do this? I do not even remember anyone around here anymore. Right? 21 asks, what feature of Creole English is reflected in the expression, listen, you're home now? Yeah, listen, you're home now, and you have to behave as if you're at home. What feature of Creole English is reflected in that expression? Auxiliary, reduplication, front focusing, or subject, adjective. So the whole sentence, that's what they're asking. Listen, you're home now, and you have to behave as if you're home. Let's say A, auxiliary. Yeah. Lines 3 to 4. Subject, adjective. I would say A. Yeah, listen, you're home now, and you have to behave as if you're home. Yeah, I mean the emphasis on you, it shows auxiliary to me. Can put an asterisk on it. 22, which of the following quotes from the dialogue is not an example of Creole syntax? Right? Sitting in front of that stupid computer in that highfalutin language, so you was coming to the market with me in the morning, or mother, do I really have to do this? 22 should be straightforward.
D.
D, yeah. 23, which of the following words describes the mother's attitude towards her son's highfalutin language? Line 2. It's scorn, proud, gloomy, or interest. One should
A.
be here. Yeah. It's A, scorn. And the word itself, highfalutin. 23. Moving on. This extract. Yeah, that's another reason why it would be auxiliary. 21 is A. You're home now and you have to behave as if you're home. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. So it's not you are, they just say you. And not you have to behave. So 24, but see here, Miss Mary, you don't think Cherry buck up the devil own self when she carrying her. Plenty time that happened, you know. Remember that woman over all side that barn, the picnic with 2 head? Praise Jesus, it did born dead. But see here, you did know one day she was going down the river to wash clothes, and it's the devil own self she meet. Yes, standing right there in her way, she popped one big ball in before she faint way. And when everybody run come, not a soul seen. It's gone, he gone. But you know where he did gone? No, right inside that girl, right in her she belly. And Miss Mary are telling you the living truth, just as the baby born in the midwife must see a shadow fly out of the mother and go right across the room. She frightens so till she closes her two eyes tight, and is so the devil escaped. Well, I don't know about that, because certainly don't born with no two head or nothing wrong with her. It's just hard as she hard is. Then no some is saying, so yeah, everybody can see the extra. 24, the speaker's question at the end of the extract indicates what? That Miss Mary did not understand the speaker, that the speaker did not understand Miss Mary's statement, that the speaker and Miss Mary are saying the same thing, or the speaker and Miss Mary are in complete disagreement.
C.
24. No, it's not the one that I would say. So she is talking to Miss Mary. Miss Mary says this. It means that Miss Mary didn't understand, right? The speaker. So A, 24 is A. Yeah, 24 is A. Miss Mary did not understand the speaker because the speaker is saying, then somebody saying, so are most persons agreed on A? Yeah. 25, the sentence is, well, I don't know about that. Becca certainly don't born with no two head or nothing wrong with her. Present examples of what? Registers and code mixing, code switching and zero copula, code mixing and double negatives, or dialectal variation and code switching. Well, I don't know about that. Becca certainly don't born with no two head or nothing wrong with her.
C.
Yeah, I'd say C. She's code mixing and double negatives. Don't born with no two head or nothing wrong with her, right? So the answer for 25 is C. 26, which of the following points on the post-Creole language continuum are represented in the speech of the characters? Baselect and acrolect only, baselect and meselect and acrolect, or all three of them? Anybody? 26, which of the following points on the post-Creole language continuum are represented in the speech of the characters? I don't see anything to suggest that there is acrolect. I would say that it is just baselect B and meselect, right? So that would be B, baselect and meselect. There's nothing that is straight perfect English to say it. So 24, so 24 we said A, 25 we said C, and 26 we said B, right? Let's continue. 27 to 30. Which of the following expressions best explains the meaning of the term lingua franca? Right? Language which is derived from French and used by African slaves. Any language which is native to African peoples who have been transplanted. Common language used in dialogue by persons with different native languages, or any language which is foreign to a speaker who moves to a new speech or community. Lingua franca.
C.
The answer is C. Right? 28, a Caribbean English Creole may be defined as what? And this is repeated this question already. Developed from contact between European and African languages. 28 is D. Right? 29, which of the following expressions is the process of reduplication evident? That one is also a repeat question. Chaka chaka host, answer is B. 30, which of the following are regarded as official language of the Netherlandic territories of the Caribbean, Netherlands? So Dutch, French, Portuguese. So the Netherlands, St. Martin, and those places. So Dutch, one is there, and it's actually Dutch and French. So it's 1 and 2. A, because St. Martin and St. Martin share an island. Aruba, Bonaire, Curacao, close to French. So not Portuguese. So the answer is for 30 is A. So 27, C, 28, D, 29, D, and 30, A. Right, moving on to the last module. Run through this one fairly quickly. All right. 10 students from McIntosh High in Jamaica are visiting Cuba to improve their knowledge of Cuban culture. They are being hosted by students from Jose Marti High, which is, I know that might sound confusing because Jose Marti is actually in Jamaica, but what they are saying here is that it's in Cuba. When the students return to school in Jamaica, they will be required to write a report on their experience. So 31 is asking, which of the following contexts of communication best describes the interaction between the two groups of students? Public, intercultural, interpersonal, organizational. Everybody is supposed to answer this one. 31. Yeah, 31 is B, intercultural. 32. Which of the following genres would the report most likely be written? Argument, exposition, or narrative? Most likely. Yes, C, only exposition and narrative. So there's no argument needed. 33, while in Cuba, the students attended a seminar. The guest speaker noticed that many of his visitors seemed restless during his presentation, even though he was speaking audibly. Which of the following was least likely to be responsible for their restlessness? He was speaking too fast, he was speaking in a monotone, he was using many unfamiliar words, or he complemented his speech with projected style. That one should be straightforward. E, right? So 31B, 32C, 33D. 34, a student council wants to raise awareness about the topic students' rights and responsibilities among the student population. The council decided that it was best to use a communication campaign to achieve its aim. It was decided that each day members of the council would speak to students who were lined up awaiting their lunch. Presentation format will be most effective for the student council president to use in interacting with the students. See, they lined up every day. All right, let me go back. Since persons are asking. So 31 and 33. So 31 is B, 32 is C, and 33 is D, dog. So B, C, D. Right? Now we're at 34. Student council wants to raise awareness. Decided it was best to use a communication campaign. Each day members would speak to students lined up who are awaiting their lunch. Right? Which presentation format would be most effective for the student council president to use in interacting with the students? Impromptu, memorized, extemporaneous, or manuscript delivery? Anybody? Come on, they're speaking to students every day, right? And they want to have an actual conversation with them. So in my mind, this one would be C, extemporaneous. Like you just come up with something on the spot, right? Persons are lined up awaiting their lunch. Anybody agree, disagree? Anybody has any different answers for 34? 34. Everybody is hearing me, right? Or you thinking about the answer? So persons agree. I don't think that it is effective to carry out scripted things. So D would be out. Memorize isn't effective because persons can make mistakes. So that leaves A and it leaves C. And if it's impromptu, it can be impromptu every day if you're trying to have a coordinated message, right? But you can come up with something on the spot. So like if you have students' rights and responsibilities, right? And let's say you just remember one of them out ahead and you just mention it. That is more along the lines of extemporaneous. I would say 34. 35, in which of the following forms of communication is the communicator both the source and the destination of the message? Public, small group, interpersonal, or intrapersonal? You are both the source and the destination. Intrapersonal. The answer. See, anybody with any other answers for 35? Saying B. Yeah, right. The answer is B. Let's think about the prefix intra. You're basically communicating with yourself. So you are the source, you are the one communicating, and you are also the destination. So 35 is B. B as in dog, not C. 36 and
Excuse
37.
me, sir. Sorry to cut you, but sir, why?
Why?
What's the difference, yes, sir?
Interpersonal means you're talking to somebody else. So it's between the two of you. So you you are not always the source or always the destination. This one is asking which of the following forms of communication is the communicator, both of them. So you, what does that mean? It means that you are both of them at the same time, simultaneously. So if I'm communicating with myself, like I'm talking to myself in the mirror, kind of thing, then that is intrapersonal. I am both the source and I am the intended recipient. So it's not inter.
Oh, okay.
So 36 and 37. So just to go back over that, 34 is C, 35 is D. 36, Benjamin's friend has a habit of talking directly in his face and touching his hands when she speaks. He has decided to have a conversation with her about it, but finds himself stuttering and hesitating in ways such as, I mean, and you see, before he can share his discomfort with her on this delicate matter. 36, the stuttering and forms
Wait,
of hesitation.
you're still asleep.
The stuttering and forms of hesitation in Benjamin's speech serve mainly to do what? Manage impression, substitute for words, convey a contradiction, or establish their relationship. Stuttering and hesitation. What does it do? Why is he saying, I mean, and you see?
B.
Okay. Someone said B, substitute for words. Yeah, okay, he can.
Sir, what about A, sir?
I remember the question says mainly. So the most likely answer. Yes, it could be that he's nervous or something and he's trying to manage his impression, but it's not the most likely answer. The most likely answer here is substitute for words.
Gotcha.
37, Benjamin is concerned about his friends' one. Vocalics, artifacts, proxemics, chronemics. Everybody should be familiar with this. Remember, the friend keeps talking directly in his face and touching his hands when she speaks.
Proxemics.
What does that relate to? Yeah, proxemics. So the answer is C. So 36 is B and 37 is C.
Wait, 37 is what, sir?
37 is C, proxemics.
C, okay.
Right? Next. Your friend Sandra has to deliver a persuasive speech in class, but she's unsure about how to effectively organize her presentation. She's nervous about making a confident delivery. 38 asks, which of the following organizational methods would be most effective in enhancing Sandra's speech? Summary points and examples, research examples and in-text citation, repeating key ideas at strategic points, or clearly stated claims and supporting details. She has to deliver a persuasive speech in class. Which one is the most effective? Most effective. So she's delivering it orally. Everybody, for 38, the answer is C, repeating key ideas. You want to persuade them, so and you want to kind of get it in their head. Right? Because it's remember, it's oral. If it was a written presentation, then all of the others would have tended to apply. But we're asking which one is the most effective. Somebody is asking what is, somebody was asking what was 36? Yeah, 36 was B. Yeah, you'll get the recording after this is all. So you don't really have to you'll get the papers, and for the ones that we have the answers for, you'll get the answer. You'll get everything. Any other questions about that, I would suggest asking the organizer. You can't interrupt the session. but you don't have to worry about whether you'll get time. 39, which of the following techniques could Sandra use to boost her confidence when delivering her speech? Drawing support from the audience, pacing the room and avoiding eye contact, reading directly from her prepared speech, or looking periodically at the teacher who is grading her. One should be straightforward. 39 is A. 38 is C. 38 is C and 39 is A. 40 to 41. Which of the following features of non-verbal communication are candidates least likely to display when making an effective presentation at an election rally? Least likely. Waving hands in air, shouting at audience, embracing close family member, smiling at women in the audience. Least likely. Yeah, the answer is B. He's not shouting at the audience, but he's speaking passionately, but not shouting at them. 41, which of the following verbal communication elements can help candidates at an election rally to effectively get their message to the voting public? Statistics and sarcasm, rhetorical questions and party symbols, party slogans and emotive language, public service announcements and flyers. 41, verbal communication elements can help them at an election rally. Yeah, the answer is C. And so 40 is B and 41 is C. 42 and 43. So a sixth form class is practicing to write expository essays. Students are using various features of exposition to guide their writing. So this sounds, for those who saw were with us for the 2019 paper, it's basically similar to questions on that paper. So 42 asks, the students' expository essays should typically aim to what? Affect the emotions, recount experiences, present the writer's viewpoint, or enlighten and instruct the reader. Expository. D, yeah, answer is D. Enlighten, yeah, expository, you're exposing things for them to understand. 43, which of the following is not an organizational strategy that the students should typically use in their expository essays? Is it narration, classification, chronological order, or comparison and contrast? Not in an expository essay. A, all right. Everybody says A. Yeah, answer is A. It's not a report. So you don't have to narrate anything. Right? Last two questions. So just to go back over that, 42. 42 is D and 43 is A. Last two questions. D-Bone restaurant is found in the hills of Carron Hall. It is nestled in a rustic backyard setting, and traditional Caribbean dishes are served for reasonable prices. However, as cheap as it is, it's not
Yeah.
long, arduous.
No. She no come back yet, you know.
Just asking you to mute your mic, please. Mute your mic. Somebody should mute their mic. First sign that this dining experience was heading for a disaster was our being
What's that?
put at the door by a flying cockroach.
What? She no come yet. She so come CJ.
Evisha, I'm asking it to
Me don't know.
The first sign that this dining experience was heading for a disaster was our being greeted at the door by a flying cockroach. Next was the poorly lit walkway that customers inevitably stumbled through to their tables. Honestly, the seating and ordering of meals was a fairly smooth process. However, the wait was eternal, and when the meal was finally served, it was cold and flat. After suffering through each bite of food, departure from D-Bone restaurant was welcoming. What a tacky eatery. So 44 is asking, what is the writer's purpose given the type of writing used in the extract? Inform and amuse, inform and persuade, to create a sensory impression by amusing, or to create a sensory impression and to enlighten. What is the writer's purpose in 44? What is saying? To create, everybody's saying D? Yeah, D. So I don't think he initially intended to amuse. but he did try to inline. He's basically reviewing a restaurant and they're creating a sensory impression by describing the taste of the food and the ambience and everything. So the answer is D for 44, right? 45, which of the following types of writing is mainly used? Narrative, academic, expository, persuasive. Everybody should know. 45, narrative, academic, expository, persuasive. Expository. So he's exposing, he's describing. So we can mostly agree on C. Right? I see persons are saying A. Why do you say narrative? The most likely answer, I think, for this one would be C, expository. Story. Narrative could work. I just don't think it's the most likely. It's not really a story. It's just like a review. Like persons are writing a review, like but it's intended to expose. So I would say that it is. I would say it is C. So 44 is D, and 45 is. Yeah, C. We go with C. All right, so 2020 is finished. We yeah, and let's take a time is 2:40. 2:40. Let's come back in 10 minutes. So 2:50. 10 minutes to 3, and then we start the last one. Let's go back over the last few questions. 42. 42 is D. 43. 43 is A. So 42 is D and 43 is A. 44 is D and 45 is C. Everybody got that? Everybody got 2020 paper? We're finished with this one. We didn't do the first 7 questions. But when we're finished with 2021, we're going to go through some questions for the first section in some other past papers so you don't lose the practice. So officially, guys, we're on break. So officially, we're on break. We're going to start back the next paper at 10 minutes to 3. But if anybody missed anything, I'll just facilitate those questions. So 34 is, I saw that in the somebody asked. Oh, we're officially on break. All right, guys, we're ready to resume. Most persons still with us. You can just indicate in the chat. We're ready to restart. So we have so this paper is 2021, so last year, and we have the extract that we have to read for the first 7 questions. So it wasn't like the last one where we didn't have it. So just quickly indicate if you're ready, anybody, and then we can begin. Right, ready. So reading this brief extract twice at normal pace, just so you can understand it. But as we answer the questions, we're not going to go back to the extract itself. So it says, well, I never know I would make it back, much less get in without matron seeing me and cutting my tail for being outside without permission. Bread and water for a week. Plus, if she ever find out about the commotion I just caused. But I was lucky, for as soon as I reached up to the house, I could tell from all the noise matron wasn't there. But the girls only carry on like that when she turned her back and leave poor aunt in charge. So I changed into my house dress and get inside without a soul see me. But my heart was still in my mouth from the running and the fright, so that if anybody did say one word to me that evening, I would just start and bawl. Then I would let my mouth run away with me and tell them everything. Then dog would eat my supper for matron bound to hear. Right, so we read that once, and we're gonna read it again. Well, I never know I would make it back, much less get in without matron seeing me and cutting my tail for being outside without permission. Bread and water for a week. Plus, if she ever find out about the commotion I just caused. But I was lucky, for as soon as I reached up to the house, I could tell from all the noise matron wasn't there. For the girls only carry on like that when she turned her back and leave poor aunt in charge. So I changed into my house dress and get inside without a soul see me. But my heart was still in my mouth from the running and the fright, so that if anybody did say one word to me that evening, I would just start and bawl. Then I would let my mouth run away with me and tell them everything. Then dog would eat my supper for matron bound to hear. This is 2021 paper. This is last year's paper. Okay. So just finish reading the extract twice, and we're going to answer the first 7 questions. So, first question, which of the following best captures the main focus of the extract? Is it conforming to the rules, escaping consequences, rebellion against authority, or the anxiety of wrong? Best. Answers, guys? B. Most persons are saying B. Yes, I agree with that. It's B. Remember, we don't have the answers for this one, so I'm going through with it at the same time. Like, but it's clear.
So B as in boy or?
Okay, B as in boy. That's,
So I saying B or D?
we're saying B as in dog, anxiety of doing wrong. In terms of best, all of them apply somewhat to some degree, but in terms of the most suitable answer, I would say it is dog. 2, the speaker's state of mind may best be described as what? Nervous and thrilled, defiant and indignant, terrified and arrogant, or apprehensive and relieved. State of mind, best. Remember, some of them apply in some degree, but which one is the best one? Somebody saying A. Any other answers? Best.
Sir, I don't know what the finance and English. I don't know what those words mean.
Indignant is the word. Talking about B. Defiant means that you are you're rebellious basically, and indignant it means basically almost the same thing. You don't given to authority, kind of. That's what those two words mean. So for two, I would say it is B, apprehensive and relieved, right? So, and most persons are saying D as well. That's not why it's not answered. B, there were some instances to show that she was relieved that the person wasn't there, and else she would have get a beating or something, right? So she was apprehensive, right? Almost nervous and relieved. So 3, the expression bread and water for a week is effective in communicating the fact that what? The girls were poorly fed, matron was a disciplinarian, the narrator was being unkind, or there was scarcity in the institution. I think that one is a bit B, yeah, she was a disciplinarian. So that's the punishment for whatever it is. 4, which of the following devices are used in the extract? Pun and simile, pun and contrast, metaphor and simile, contrast and metaphor. I don't want to go back to the text because you have to practice to listen, so you can't read it. But your reading skill is tested in the other areas. So which of the following devices are used in the extract? So I see C, I see B, anything else? Yeah, metaphor is definitely there. Was there a simile there? Based on what you guys can recall? Let's look back. Let's just keep on it one thing. I'm sure, yeah, metaphors were definitely there. It's just to see if a simile is there or a contrast. So you can read it. I don't see any similes. There are contrasts there. I would say contrast and metaphor. I don't see any similes.
Yes, sir. Contrast is there.
Metaphor is there, but I don't see any similes. Anything to say? Compare two things as like and as. So the answer for that one is D, contrast and metaphor. 5, the extract suggests that aunts what? Cannot cope, is compassionate, is just like matron, or cannot tolerate indiscipline. I think that one is straightforward. Yeah. She can't cope. She's not like matron. She's not as disciplinarian as she is. So 5 is A. 6, which of the following is not an emotion experienced by the narrator in the passage? Fear, trepidation, indifference, or anticipation. Yeah, that one I think is clear as well. 6. C, yeah, indifference. She was not indifferent at any point in the extract. 7, the tone of the extract may best be described as what? Sympathetic and playful, playful and confessional, sympathetic and conversational, or conversational and confessional. Right, I see D. The other answers? C, sympathetic. Best. Remember when they ask the question best, it's not that the others are not there. In more often than not, they are there. They're asking which one is the most suitable answer for this one. And for me, I think that is D. It's conversational and confessional. It's definitely confessional, right? And it's conversational. It sounded like she's having a conversation with us. So 7 is D. So going back to the first section, 1 is D as in dog. 2 is also D as in dog. 3, bread and water, is B as in boy. Matron was a disciplinarian. 4 is D as in dog. 5 is A as in apple. 6 is C as in cat. And 7 is D as in dog. Right? 2 is D, dog. E for number 2. Right, so we're moving on. The next part, still module 1, questions 8 to 11. Megan and Lucy, and as I said again, the questions, they just change up the names of the people, they just change up the places, but the scenario, the similarity in the question is, it rarely changes, right? So gathering information, doing research, they just put the same thing back on. So that's why it's easier to go through, and we finish much quicker than we expected. 7 is done. So moving on to section B in module 1, Megan and Lucy are conducting research on the reading habits of teenagers in the 14 to 16 age group in their community. Lucy believes that all that is required is gathering information from a website she found on the internet, but Megan believes that they should examine other sources. Question 8 asks, which of the following will be the main advantage if interviews are used as a method of data collection? Main advantage, is it cost savings, confidentiality of data, ability to probe for further details, or ease in processing the data gathered? One should be straightforward. 8 is C. Yeah, 8 is C. 9, which of the following web addresses is not likely to provide the most credible information for this research? Is it readingteens.org, .com, .gov, or .edu?
B.
Answer is B. Organization, com is any like commercial website, gov is a government organization, educational. 10, the most reliable source of primary data for this research would be what? Periodicals, newspaper articles, secondary school students, or parents of primary school students. Remember, you're conducting research on the reading habits of teenagers in the community, age 14 to 16. So the answer is C. Right. What is saying C? 11, which of the following activities would Megan and Lucy be involved in if they are conducting? Is it creating and investigating a treatment group, diagnosing problems and finding solutions, gathering the sample's opinions and beliefs, or obtaining detailed information on a member of the sample? 11. There's only one possible answer. Not B, C, gathering the sample's opinions and beliefs, survey. Right? So obtaining detailed information on a member of the sample, meaning one member, is not a survey, that's an interview. So 11 is C. So 8 is C, 9 is B, 10 is C, and 11 is C. Everybody on the same page? Still in module 1. Right? So repeat question again. We just go through this one very quick, because this one just came in the last one. Miss Tricia Davis is head of the English department at Malcolm High School. But like I said, don't SWAT, still read them because they can change the order of the answers. So we're just gonna go through it same way. She's the head of English department at Malcolm High School. She realizes that over a 5-year period, fewer students chose literature in English as an optional subject in sixth form. And so she would like to determine the reason for this and put in place a program to reverse the situation. And this is 2021 paper. So a good amount of these papers might come back for this year, or they take 1 or 2 sections and just put it back. 12, which of the following research designs will be the most suitable? We went through this for those who are with us with 2020. B, exploratory. 13, which of the following data collection methods is most suitable for her to use? Anybody? Went through it. Interview, document search, observation, schedule, participant observation.
A.
Yeah. And A. 14, which of the following factors could invalidate the generalization which Ms. Davis makes from the findings? Is that the sample is too large, it's not representative, it's carried out only in the school or conducted during end of year? Only one answer there. 14, B, yes. 15, which of the following must Ms. Davis consider in selecting her sample? Composition of the school's population, size of the school's population, accuracy of the school's data. E, all of them, right? So 12 is B, 13 is A, 14 is B as in boy, and 15 is D as in dog. 14, 14 is B, as in boy. Sample not representative of the population. So 12, boy. 13, A. 14, boy. 15, dog. Finish with module 1. Module 2 now. Patois and Creole and all of that. So, it means don't shout at me was all he got for his pains. Don't you definitely. What's that the young varmint says, Maud? Mrs. Dovecot came over and got him to understand after 2 or 3 attempts. 3 pence, Maudie, he cackled. 3 pence. Did you hear that, Maud? Did you ever hear the like? I'll bet you ain't never did. 3 pence. The lad'll have money. What I's got sweat blood for? Just to give that megahi what's got his bread so well buttered off on both sides, not to mention the middle. 3 pence. Ha, ha, oh, Maudie. And he broke down once in helpless laughter. Clement went out and sat under the breadfruit tree that grew before the door, resting his back against the trunk. Right? So yeah, it's taken from an anthology of short stories written in Trinidad. Also looks like it's interspersed with some American. Which of the following dialectal varieties are used in the dialogue? Basilic, acrolect, mesolic. Bunny? Number 16. Following dialectal varieties are used. I know it might be a little hard to discern, but there is no acrolect. There's no strict standard English. So 2 is out. Basilic is there. Yes, 1 has to be there. 2 is out. You just do a process of elimination. So you know it can't be A and it can't be B and it can't be D if 2 is not there. So the answer must be C. 1 and 3 only, basilic and mesolic. So the answer is C. If 2 is out, then that excludes everything else. 17, which of the following types of registers are used in the dialogue? Casual, frozen, formal, or academic? It should be straightforward. 17 is A. Okay. 18, which of the following communicative behaviors is mainly used in the dialogue? Mainly. Vocalics, artifacts, kinesthetics, or chronemics? Anybody? Yeah. Vocalics. So the difference in the volume and tone of his voice. Man said, don't deafen me and all of that. So 18 is A. So go back over this. 16 is C, 17 is A, and 18 is A. All right. Moving on. This poem. So Sonny's letter from prison, Jeb Avenue, Southwest England. By Linton Kwesi Johnson. Very famous poem. So it says, Dear Mama, good day. I hope that when these few lines reach you, they may find you in the best of health. I don't know how to tell you this, for I did make a solemn promise to take care of little Jim and try my best to look out for him. Mama, I did really try my best, but nonetheless, sorry to tell you that poor little Jim get arrested. It was the middle of the rush hour, when all of a sudden a police van pulled up, out jumped 3 policemen. All of them carrying baton. Them walk straight up to me and Jim. One of them hold on to Jim, said them taking him in. Jim tell him to let go of him, for him not do nothing. And him no thief, not even a button. Mama, I just couldn't stand up there and not do nothing. Right? Sonny's letter. Yeah, I don't think we have to read it again. Just keep it one time. So 19. So the speaker's main purpose for writing this letter is to what? Protest against police brutality and injustice, apologize for being locked up along with Jim, inform his mother of his current address and console her, or tell his mother that he and Jim are in jail and to explain why. 19. Yeah, they're both Sonny's letter from prison. So 20, the register of the poem may be described as what? Frozen, formal, intimate, or consultative. But he's saying C, yeah, I mean, it's a letter. He's writing it to his mother. So it's intimate, C. 21, which of the following is a purpose for which the writer uses English Creole in the poem? Is it providing aesthetic pleasure to the reader, persuading readers to reject racism and social injustice, serving as a vehicle of easy communication between inmates, or providing appropriate communication between mother and son? Why is he using Creole? Remember, he started out basically with English, the first 3 lines, and then the rest of it, he went into Creole. Why? 21. C, somebody said D. 19 is D, as in dog. 19 is dog, and 20 is C. 21, yeah, what are we saying is 21? So the following is a purpose for which the writer uses English Creole in the poem. I would say D, providing appropriate communication between mother and son. I mean, he's not going to talk to his mother in standard English, is he? A is also possible. No, I wouldn't say D. The best answer is probably not. It's definitely A, because he's describing what happened when they got, when the police got to them, and what was said and what they did as they got to jail. And I realize many persons not answering this, but do we agree? Can we see why it is A for 21, providing aesthetic pleasure to the reader? Yeah, because it can't, there's no justification for D since he started off with English, right? But then the first 3 lines are English, and then the rest of it is in Creole, where he's describing when they got locked up. So we can agree that it's A. Yeah, so the answer is A for 21. And so it can't be D. 22, based on the tone of the letter, the relationship between the receiver and the sender may be described as what? Tense, bitter, cordial, or affectionate. Anybody? 22? Affectionate. Yeah. Yeah, affectionate. D. 22 is D. 23, Sonny is most likely to be incarcerated where? Jamaica, England, Barbados, or America? Should be clear. E, yeah, and then it said it at the beginning. It said England, Inglam, they meant England. All right, so 23 is boy, as in England. So let's go back over this. 19 is dog. 20 is cat. C. 21 is A. 22 is D. 23 is boy, England. All right, so moving on. Yeah, we went through this one already, but I'm still going to read it because they repeated this whole thing. Rufus had in him a passion, kind of vexation that when he stand up before a crowd, he would get all tangled up with his words and feelings, but Rufus don't have the education. They tell this story how one night at a meeting, Rufus was talking about the cost of living. People can't eat book in this country, Rufus said. People can't eat words. What the people need is bread. B-R-E-D, bread. Rufus, you leave out the A. Somebody from the crowd called out to him, and Rufus correct himself. B-R-E-D-A. They tell of another time, the reporter tell Rufus that Mr. Richardson suggests that they should put more boys out in the sea to mark the area. Boys, Rufus say, big men does drown out there in the sea and he wants to put boys. No, we couldn't vote for Rufus. Who we want in the council is a man that qualified, a man with education just like the people in Britain. Ivan could really talk. Rufus was all right, but after you listen to Ivan Martin, you had to put Rufus aside. All right, so 24, which of the following roles is language serving in this extract when it's used to judge Rufus's level of education? And I remember that 24, the answer is C, it's political. It's not social in this case, specifically it's political. Just indicate if you still agree or if you remember that this is what we said. 25, the narrator relates the stories about Rufus mainly to do what? To show hatred for him, to show that Rufus is uneducated, to show that the people dislike Rufus, or to validate the view that Rufus is competent. Answer is B, show that Rufus is uneducated. 25 is B. 26, which of the following attitudes may be inferred about the narrator based on his account of Rufus's behaviors? He values education, he dislikes British people, does not like people with passion, or unsympathetic towards Rufus. 26, the answer is A, he values education. Okay. So 24 is C, 25 is B, and 26 is A. All right, so as I said, this one didn't repeat exactly, they just changed up the names, but we had the same scenario in our previous paper, where two people are talking, the one of them just come back from foreign and them go on heighty and whatever. So Ibery says, Marcel, what go on you? A true said that they are foreign, is studying, you are studying. And Marcel says, Ibery, it's been a long time, hasn't it? Yes, I've been studying overseas. Nice to see you, my friend. Ibery says, man, you're talking like a real foreign, like you forget where you come from. I traveled before and I went to high school and I still talk like my people where I come from. Chillax, no man. So similar, very similar to what we've been assimilating. 27 asks, which of the following relationships between education and language is most evident in this scenario? Is it only educated people use correct language? Language use is indicative of one's education level. Education negatively impacts one's use of language, or education causes one to forget one's mother tongue.
B.
Most evident. Most evident. I don't think so. Yeah. Any other answers? Most persons are saying B. Language use is indicative of one's education level. Yeah. B is more likely. He went to study overseas, whereas Ibery only went to high school. Probably hasn't attained a certain level of proficiency in English. So the answer is B. Language use is indicative of one's education level. 28. Ibery's attitude towards Marcel's use of standard English can be described as what? Scornful, accepting, indifferent, or annoyance. That one should be a bit straightforward. But yeah, what does Ibery think about Marcel talking in proper English? Basically, that's what it's asking. Anybody, guys? It says D, is annoyed. Why A? Scornful? Easy. He's just annoyed. Like the man just said, you forget where you come from. When he said, just calm down, just relax. Like you're among your people again. Just talk the way that you talk to us before you go abroad. So I would say annoyance. 28 being B. Most persons will see that it's B, is annoying. 27 is boy. B. Language use is indicative of one's education. All right. So we agree on that. 27 is boy and 28 is dog. It's annoying. Let's move on. 29. Which of the following grammatical features is evident in the expression? May 8 have no money? It should be straightforward. Front focusing, double negative, pre-verbal marker, unmarked.
B.
B as in boy, double negative. 30. Which of the following features of language do Creole and standard English have in common? They're human and prestigious, systematic, arbitrary, and static, human, systematic, and non-instinctive, or non-verbal, syntactic, and non-instinctive. Okay, guys, what do they have in common? For 30, number 30. It's not A. People don't think of Creole to me. That's just the elimination. It's not A. People don't think of Creole as prestigious. So it can't be A. B, Creole is not static, so it can't be B. So it's either C or D. Okay? People think of Creole as systematic. It has its own writing system, right? It has its own phonology and things like that. Right? D. But it says D. C is the answer. It's human, systematic, and non-instinctive. Does everybody see why it is C? Both of them are systematic, both of them are human. So automatically, it doesn't matter whether it's non-instinctive or not. The point is, we are trying to, since there are repeated options in each of them, you just need to eliminate what is not. And so once it is human and systematic and it have 2 to the 3, it is that is the answer. So 30 is C. So 29 is B and 30 is C. All right, so we're moving on to the last module now. But sometimes you're given an image, and this one is about writing and speaking. So this one is a comic strip, and the first panel says, the lady is saying, "Ooh, look, a wishing well." And she puts a coin in the wishing well in the second panel. And then the third panel, the guy, he said, like him, hissing teeth kind of thing. And then he says, "You don't believe in those things, do you?" And then she says, "Not anymore." Right, 31, the man's body language in box 1 indicates that he is what? Thrilled, irritated, indifferent, or supportive? Anybody? 31, hands in pockets. See, yeah, he's indifferent. Just can't be bothered. Doesn't even know why he's there. 32, which of the following words describes the man's tone in box 4? And say, "You don't believe in those things, do you?" Angry, disdainful, despairing, or conciliatory? Got it? I take a while. Yeah. B's answer is disdainful. Disdain means that you think particularly lowly of something, right? The man is, or you're doubtful. Man is asking, "You don't believe in those things, do you?" Like you can't believe that she's superstitious, basically. 33, what context of communication is depicted in the conversation? Is it small group, intercultural, interpersonal, intrapersonal? That one is straightforward. 33 is C. All right, so 31 is C, 32 is B, as in boy, and 33 is C, interpersonal. All right, and this is a repeat question, so that's why it's good to go over the most recent papers. So your friend Kristen is running for head girl. You've agreed to be our campaign manager. Kristen has to give a speech to the upper school students at General Assembly. 34 asks, which of the following audience reactions would indicate that the upper school students are likely to vote for Kristen? Looking at her while she speaks, loud rumbling when she pauses, discussing her main points with friends, or applauding whenever she makes a point. Easy. 34D. Right, good. 35, Kristen is to avoid sending mixed or unintentional messages to her audience. To which aspect of the communication process should she pay special attention? Noise, medium, encoding, decoding. Everybody, you should say. 35, C is the answer. Encoding. This question came already, and the answer was C. You have to think about how you're going to encode and put the message so that everybody can understand. All right. This one, it's not a repeat, but it is similar to a question that came already. Presentation and digital communication is being made in a lecture theater where the air conditioning unit does not work. The presenter speaks loudly and uses some words that seem to annoy and confuse the audience. Simon thinks the speaker does not care about his audience, and so he stops listening and starts planning his holiday. The speaker's use of visual aids does not help in making the audience feel that they are learning anything new from his presentation. 36 asks, which of the following are barriers to communication in this scenario? We have choices between 1, 2, and 3. Don't automatically choose all 3 of them. Read them first. Poor visual aids, listener's attitude, broken air conditioner. Which ones of them are barriers? Communication. But guys, but I mean, by default, since 1 and 2 are already there, then it must be, it's either A, 1 and 2 only, or 1, 2, and 3. Yeah, answer is A. I mean, broken air conditioner, you might feel uncomfortable. It's not going to really impede communication, in my opinion. 37, which of the following types of barriers is mainly responsible for the failure of the communication process for Simon? Is it internal, physical, external, or psychosocial? Simon thinks the speaker does not care about his audience, and so he stops listening and starts planning his holiday. So what kind of barrier is that? Mainly responsible for the failure of the communication process. It's psychosocial, right? Can agree that it's B. Okay, everybody saying A, internal. Why does everybody say internal? I mean, Simon, he just said it. He said the speaker just doesn't care. A, D. How would we describe internal in this process? Internal would be like the people who are receiving it, like Simon and the classmates, students, that it's something internal to them is causing them, right, to not be able to get the message, right, or something internal to the speaker. But psychosocial relates more to like his care. What does he think about his audience? I would say it is more psychosocial than internal. I don't know if anybody will agree or understands the reason. Internal just means something like, there's something preventing you personally from listening or from taking the person seriously. I would say 37 is 38, the process by which messages are exchanged and meanings interpreted between the speaker and the audience is known as what? Speech encoding, decoding, or communication. Straightforward, right? But everybody's supposed to say. Yeah, psychosocial is really like state of mind. 37B, 38. Do we see that 38 is D as well? Buddy, communication. Need one person to say yes. Then we can move on. Everybody? All right. 38 is D. Yeah. 39, which of the following does not operate as a barrier to communication in this scenario? Not gender, vocalics, semantics, perception. Vocalics, right? It's not speaking loudly enough. Semantics, he's using words that annoy and confuse the audience. Perception, Simon thinks the speaker doesn't care, right? But does gender have anything to do with it? No. So 39 is A, right? Everybody can see that the answer is A, right? For 39. One, guys, are almost finished. Almost finished. I'm going 2.5 hours. All right, A. All right, so 36 is A, 37 is B, 38 is D, dog, both of them dog, 39 A. All right, 40. A student's expository essay, and these are repeat questions are similar. Student's expository essay typically aims to do what? Affect the emotions, recount experiences, enlighten and inform the reader, or present the writer's personal viewpoint. We went through this one. It's C. Everybody should be saying C. Yeah. 41, which of the following would be the main organizational strategy used in an expository essay on the topic types of luxury vehicles? We went through this one again as well. The answer is B, classification, right? Types. 42, One organizational feature of language that is not typically found in expository text is the use of what? Emotive language, facts and statistics, information from experts, details supporting main points. The answer is A, emotive language. Like I said, the most repeat questions come back in the last module, the last 15 of them, from 30 to 43. Now look at this one again. Which of the following is the correct sequence that the presenter should follow to successfully complete the communication message? Right? So A and C are out because you don't encode the message first. You conceive the message first. Then you encode it, then you select the channel, then you disseminate the message. So the answer is B. So 43 is B. Right? Everybody can see that? Somebody is asking 37, 40. We're going to go back. 37 is dog. 38 is dog. 39 is A. So 37D, 38D, 39A. 40 is C, and 41 is B. Right? So 40 is C, 41B, 42A, 43B. Right? I said the papers will be sent, and we have other papers that we don't have time to go through now, but they will be sent as well from before 2019, because they might take back some questions from those, and the answers we have for those as well, because they'll just bring back those questions. We're just going through it so you know how to understand the questions, that expect the questions that are. So 40 is C, 41 is B, 42 is A, 43 is B. Last two questions. So they ask these questions as well. They repeat. Your friend Sandra is experiencing great difficulty in organizing persuasive speeches. Which of the following is an effective strategy for organizing her speeches? Use of repetition, many exclamatory statements, sequenced summarized points, or use of many researched examples. Anything, guys?
A.
44. Persuasive. When this question came back in a different form, we had said A, use of repetition, because she's delivering it orally. If it was written, then the others would have worked. So 44 is A. 45, which of the following strategies could help Sandra make a successful delivery? Focusing on a friendly face, pacing the room and avoiding eye contact, reading directly from her prepared speech, or keeping her eyes fixed on the overhead projector. 45, guys. A, right? We agree that it's A. Yeah, A. So two of them are A. 44 is A, 45. So we are finished with that paper. Yeah, I'll just repeat. Finish with this one. So since 2020 did not have a first section with questions 1 to 7, I'm going to go through the 1 to 7, not the whole paper because we don't have time for the whole paper. I'm going to go through questions 1 to 7 for the 2018 paper, right? Just give me 5 minutes or less than that. Give me 2 minutes and then we'll start with that. Because I don't want to shortchange you guys. Since we did it for 2019 and 2021, I want to just replace the one that we didn't have for 2020. Everybody clear on that? Just give me 2 minutes and then we just do 1 to 7. But don't worry, like I said, the papers before 2019, like this one, 17, 18, 16, 15, we'll send those and the answers as well, so that you can just get familiar with the questions, because as we have seen, some of them have repeated like from 19 to 21. Right? Just give me 2 minutes and then we'll start this.
Shaka, I'm doing I go run. I know to the men over to her.
Excuse me, question will say, I ain't got no money. What is the answer for that?
All right, ready again, guys? I'm gonna go through this one very quickly. Are you ready? You would have been reading it already, since you can see it on the screen. I know you familiarize yourself with it, but we're gonna still read over it. All right, ready. So the living room would be a comfortable and well-ordered room if it were not for a number of indestructible contradictions to this state of being. Its furnishings are typical and undistinguished, and their primary features now is that they have clearly had to accommodate the living of too many people for too many years, and they are tired. Still, we can see that at some time, a time probably no longer family, except perhaps for Mama, the furnishings of this room were actually selected with care and love and even hope, and brought to this apartment and arranged with taste and pride. That was a long time ago. Now the once loved pattern of the couch upholstery has to fight to show itself under acres of crotched doilies and couch covers, which have themselves finally come to be more important than the upholstery. And here a table or chair has been moved to disguise the worn places in the carpet. The carpet has fought back by showing its weariness with depressing uniformity elsewhere on its surface. Weariness has in fact won in this room. Everything has been polished, washed, sat on, used, scrubbed too often. All pretenses but living itself have long since vanished from the very atmosphere of this room. Right? Read it again. The living room would be a comfortable and well-ordered room if it were not for a number of indestructible contradictions to this state of being. Its furnishings are typical and undistinguished, and their primary features now is that they have clearly had to accommodate the living of too many people for too many years, and they are tired. Still, we can see that at some time, a time probably no longer remembered by the family, except perhaps for Mama, the furnishings of this room were actually selected with care and love and even hope, and brought to this apartment and arranged with taste and pride. That was a long time ago. Now the once loved pattern of the couch upholstery has to fight to show itself under the acres of crotched doilies and couch covers, which have themselves finally come to be more important than the upholstery. And here a table or chair has been moved to disguise the worn places in the carpet. But the carpet has fought back by showing its weariness with depressing uniformity elsewhere on its surface. Weariness has in fact won in this room. Everything has been polished, washed, sat on, used, scrubbed too often. All pretenses but living itself have long since vanished from the very atmosphere of this room. Right? So we move on to the questions now. 7 questions. Which of the following best captures the main concern conveyed in the extract? Is it A, the durability of the living room furnishings, B, the pride that can result from preserving family heirlooms, C, the decline and exhaustion which is a consequence of living, and D, the dreams and aspirations of the family who inhabit the room? So we have the answers for these, so let me know what you think. Which of the following best captures the main concern conveyed in the extract?
C.
Yeah, the answer is C. Everybody sees that? The decline and exhaustion, which is a consequence of living. Right? It's worn down like over time. Everybody sees that it's C, right? Give me some feedback. Almost finished. 2, the expression indestructible contradictions as used in the extract best suggests that the room was a contradictory place to be, room and its furnishings were indestructible, changes in the room over the years could not be contradicted, or the difference between the room's appearance and reality could not be indestructible contradictions. What it guys? What does it suggest? Indestructible contradictions. I know the speaking part is hard to process. Think about it. And I'll get the answer. D. It is D. The difference between the room's appearance and reality could not be ignored. Indestructible. Right? 3. Which of the following literary devices are mainly used in the extract? Metaphor and paradox, metaphor and contrast, personification and paradox, or contrast and personification? 3. All right, so we know personification is there, so we can eliminate A and B. Right? So it's between C and D. What are people saying? One person says C, one person says D. Answer is D. It's contrast and personification. Literally showing when it was good compared to when it run down and turned bad. So 4, Mama is perhaps the only member of the family to remember the furnishings as they were at some point in the past because she is the most observant member of the family. A, is the only one to clean and care for them. B, might have selected and arranged them in the room. Or D is the only one who knows how the family's fortunes have declined. That's 4. What's the answer for number? Let's go back over. 1 is C, 2 is D, and 3 is also D. Right? C, D, D. We are on 4 now. What's the answer for 4? They said that Mama is the only one who can remember the furnishings as they were at some point in the past. 5. Okay. Right, because she's the elder, basically. So she's the one who more than likely put everything together. Right? So the answer is actually C. She might have selected and arranged them in the room. Well, let me rethink that answer. The official answer they say is C, but if most persons say D, I wouldn't be so hard with it because it's trying to convey the fact that she is the oldest, she's the elder person in the family, right? And so she's the only one who would have been around when they realized that they had more money, they were rich or they were richer and they could have afforded the furniture. I know everything is running. So I would probably lean towards persons are saying. So let's go with D for number. Where is 5? 5, the pervading mood of the room in the extract is one of what? Decline and hope, decay and decline, optimism mixed with despair, or disappointment mixed with prevailing, meaning the overwhelming mood. Persons are saying A, decline and hope. There's the hope. Nobody seeing any hope. There's no real hope in there. Even when they've mentioned it, even when they have tried to bring back the thing to some form of glory, it still didn't work. So it's actually B, decay and decline, right? 5 is B. 6, the expression show itself under acres of crotcheted doilies and couch covers is an example of what? Under acres. Answer 6.
B.
B, hyperbole, it's an exaggeration, right? And they even show you that the thing is worn down and decaying, and they try to cover it up with couch covers and doilies, and it still doesn't even work. And so 6 is B. 7, the writer's attitude towards the room indicates a sense of muted admiration, concerned despair, triumphal optimism, or careless indifference. For 7. Number 7. 4. 4, we went with D for 4. Right? For 7, yeah, most persons are saying the answer. The answer is B, concerned despair. Right? The attitude is concerned despair. 7 is boy. So let's go back through each of these. 1 is C. 2 is D. 3 is D. 4, we went with D as well. So 2, 3, and 4 are all dog. 5 is boy. 6 is boy. And 7 is boy. So it is C, then 3 dogs, then 3 boys. So C, D, 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 B, B, B. Right? Four has to be C if 7 is B. Concern, despair. Why? I mean, remember, Mama is the only one who knows how the family's fortune had declined. So that is consistent with the whole tone of the poem, decline, right? So I'm not really seeing how we would say 4 is C is the official answer themselves. But if they said D, I think they would have to give you. Despair and decline, I don't know. I'm not really seeing it. Right, yeah. So C, D, 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 B, B, B. So that's it, guys. We went through 3 papers, or the equivalent of 3 papers, the 3 most recent papers. So I think you should be okay. I'm not encouraging you to swat, but I'm just saying that questions repeat. So bear that in mind, and don't overexert yourselves.
Excuse me.
Mhm.
Sir?
Yeah, I'm listening.
Oh, um, about number 4. So I read the book for literature, the A Raisin in the Sun, and I agree with that. The fact that the answer is in fact C, because it was asking about like the question. Remember, it is her house. The house belongs to Mama. So therefore, wouldn't she be the one who purchased and arranged the furniture? So she would know how it declined because she's the one who bought them.
Yeah, well, I mean, D was the one that mentioned that she would know how it declined, so you'd be agreeing with D. But I didn't say C was wrong. It's just that if students chose, if I was a marker and they chose D, there's some ambivalence. I would have not given them wrong. So yeah, guys, you're free to leave. The session is done. There's nothing more for me to say except all the best and good luck whenever the exam is. It's next week or the week after. And yeah, it's not a teaching session. We've done everything we can do. This will be sent to you, the recording, and the papers will also be sent. Just contact New Jamaica by whichever channel, and you should be able, right? So everybody is welcome, and just take care and stay safe.